One, two. One, two. Yo, you can hear me? One, two. Turn me up. I've been a threat since Benetton, Gazelles and Bally's, the icon in graffiti in the Brooklyn alley. Touch hearts of the pharaohs in the Egypt Valley. My engineer can't see me cause the booth is cloudy. Still rowdy even though we in BMs and Audis. Looking like black Saudis and black Denali's. I'm a terrorist attack when I get on the track. If I'm riding shotgun, I need one in my lap. I adapt to any habitat, a BK desert rat. It's war, then we sending back bodies and gats. Put up your white flag, homie, it get worse than Iraq. We know the CIA game was the framers with crack. So each bar's more dope, heroin in my pen. Got a mobbing back, robbing, head nodding again. Who you shit on to get on top can make it pop in the end. Who's a flop and what's hot, got you locked in the gym. Tell Jacob I spit jewels, I could drop him a gem. And if you looking for a diamond, I could hook him with 10.
I'm hip hop before Sugar Hill signed the deal. Before Studio 54 popping pills. It was real when Kool Herc worked the wheels of steel. Now we bring the game back into the New York feel. I'm hip hop before Sugar Hill signed the deal. Before Studio 54 popping pills. Hip hop.
Like what was brought out concerning John 3:16, popularly known by the Christians and religious groups out there as the quote-unquote John 3:16. Now, what I'm gonna bring out will be the dark truth about John 3:16 according to biblical scripture, and I'm gonna go into the book of St. John, the 13th chapter, and I'm gonna read the first verse. Now it says, all right, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father. All right, because like was brought out, the Greek word cosmos has many different definitions, and which can go into human beings, it can go into the universe, the world in itself, and also it could go into a particular group, okay, or a different aggregated type of beings. And aggregation is dealing with the combination of smaller things come together to form one object, and it could go into a particular group of something. All right, so when you go into the Greek word definition of cosmos, it can go into a particular group of something. At least that's what I read on the Blue Letter Bible concerning the definition of the word cosmos, which is the Greek word for the word world in John chapter 3, verse 16. So that same definition of cosmos is here. And every scripture I'm going to bring out within the next 10, 15 minutes will be with the word world translated as cosmos in the Greek. All right, to show you the different definitions and the way John wrote it. He went from one content to another with it. Now I'm going to read it again. St. John chapter 13, verse 1. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, meaning, and that's cosmos there. This world meaning the earth, okay? And the earth as we know it unto the Father. Having loved his own which were in the world. Now, hold that. Let's go to chapter John, okay, the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. And it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So, in dealing with the cosmos of the word world here in John 3:16, it says, for God so loved the world, right? So, when I go to St. John chapter 13, verse 1, it says, I'm going to read it again one more time. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own, which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. Now, when you read St. John's 14th chapter, for those gainsayers out there, okay, the Most High, Christ is not going to love anything that the Most High hateth. Like it tells you in St. John's 14, he that have seen me have seen the Father. I and the Father are one. Okay? Those who, you hear my words, you hear in the Father's words, right? So now, the scripture said that God so loved the world. And here it is in St. John 13. It says Christ loved his own, which were in the world. Now, what is that referring to? What does that mean? Okay, I thought Christ loved everybody. The scripture said Christ loved his own, which were in the world. So I'm going to go over St. John chapter 17, verse 17, verse 6, excuse me. And it says right here, okay, I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. So who was those men that was given unto Christ out of the world, right? thine they were, okay, meaning they belong unto the Most High, and thou gavest them me. So, of course, from traditional standpoint, you look at this and think that, yeah, it's talking about the 12 apostles, right? Which were Israelites, by the way. Okay, they were not Gentiles. The 12 apostles or the 12 disciples were Israelites. Now it says, and they have kept thy word. So now I'm going to read it again because it said, Christ said, I have manifested my name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Okay, thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm still staying in the New Testament here. So we got to ask ourselves, well, who was given unto Christ from the world that Christ loved? We read the scripture, okay? St. John chapter 6, verse 44. And it says, no man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw them. So nobody can come to Christ unless it's the Most High's will. That's the bottom line. And I will raise them up at the last day, okay? Talking about in the final days, okay, of the resurrection. And verse 45. It is written in the prophets, Christ quoting from the Old Testament, says, it is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of the Most High. So the scripture said every one of them will be taught by the Most High. Those who will draw near unto Christ will be the ones that's taught by the Most High, as it is written by the prophets. So now, who is that talking about? And it says, every man therefore that hath heard and have learned of the Father cometh unto me. But the key point is that it is written in the prophets, and they should be all taught of the Most High, because Christ said those that are drawn unto him are the ones who the Father have chosen from amongst the world. That is who God so loved, because the word world could also mean a particular group of individuals of people, okay? Like you got the sea world, you got the animal world, you know, okay? You got all different types of worlds out there, you understand? You got the underworld, but which world did God so love? You understand? Is that talking about everybody? Because in St. John 13, it just said that Christ loved his own which were in the world. Those are they which the Father took out of the world and draw them unto Christ, because it's the Most High's will. They are they which the prophet said shall be taught by the Most High. Now, what prophet said that? Where is Christ quoting from? Let's go back to hold that. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33, because this is the prophet who Christ quoted. He quoted the prophet Jeremiah, and I'm going to read it. This is Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33. Okay, and I'm going to read it. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33. It says, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, remember scripture said, and that they should be risen in the last day. We just read that in St. John 6. Now here in Jeremiah, it says, after those days, talking about in the last days and in the kingdom, saith the Lord, I will put my law in the inward parts. So if the laws of the Most High is going to be put in the inward parts, that means what? They're not going to be needed to be taught by man. Okay, the Most High is going to teach them, because the Lord said he's going to put his spirit on them, and the law will be in the inward parts. Okay, and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. In other words, there's not going to be any reason for you to teach another man the laws of the Most High or the word of the Lord, because in the last days and in that day, the Most High is going to put his spirit upon men, in which that there's not going to be any need for